Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Todd Standing. Thank you for tuning in to my Sasquatch Sunday video. I'm going to have lots of fun today because I'm going to review some very interesting Sasquatch, alleged Sasquatch footage, and I'm going to talk about what I've talked about on my live show a few times. People have asked me often, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened to me to do with Sasquatch? That pertains to the video that we're going to look at today, because I have had an absolutely terrifying experience. And today I'm actually going to go through the motions and reenact it a little bit to give you a little more detail about what actually just scared me to the point where I literally had to go home and think about for a month whether I was going to continue doing Sasquatch research, if it was going to terrify me so much. So that and much more, so stay tuned. We're going to have a great video today. We get into this, I don't even really like talking about it, because even I got to tell you, there's, for example, in Survivor Man, there's that part of Survivor Man where I'm running with the flares of Sasquatch in front of me and terrifying me. I'm screaming and yelling.
God damn it! Yeah! Yeah!
These growling sounds you hear are from 6 to 10 yards away, again in multiple directions.
And I can't stand watching that, and I really don't like reliving these moments, because for the vast majority of what I do with Sasquatch, it's an amazing, fantastic roller coaster ride that's very, very exciting and very fun. Well, first we're going to talk about the this video that I saw today. So for some reason, this video, I'm not going to make any bones about it. There's real problems. If you do a Sasquatch video and you have like a still like this one, and you don't have any lead up or any video footage to go with it, it's kind of like they were using a costume, hoaxing it, and then just took a moment that was, took a moment out of it, and it's just not impressive. So here's a Sasquatch standing by a tree, and there's so many things wrong with this picture. So many things. Forget about, there's no body composition that's correct. The body looks wrong, but I'm going to tell you from a behavioral standpoint that a Sasquatch are not going to be in position like that for so many reasons. Body language is imperative when it comes to, even with human beings. They have a science, NVC, nonverbal communication, is really important. We literally, about 90% of when we're speaking, the verbal and the motions, like I'm doing with my hands, really are the majority of the communication. It really sets the message. That's why I don't like texting, because you lose that nonverbal communication that's so important. But when a Sasquatch is standing, the way that Sasquatch is standing by a tree, it looks so inauthentic to me, because I've had so many sightings with expeditioners and myself. Well, I'll give you an example of what I see when we have a sighting like this, similar to this with a Sasquatch. So I'll reenact it for you right now. So first thing is, I don't know where the heck that footage was taken, but for a Sasquatch to hide behind a tree that has no branches seems a little preposterous to me. Because so many trees that you can hide behind have branches like this. So that's kind of a red flag. Second thing is the posturing being like this. If you stand like this is not a stance of a big, dominant, giant Sasquatch that's actually should be having assertive feelings towards you. He doesn't want to, this is like cowering, right? That Sasquatch don't stand like this. Every sighting we've seen with the Sasquatch, it's usually generally in a more wooded area. And when you do get the sighting, what they'll do is, when you literally, Darren had the last sighting, and his testimony, and what I've seen them do as well, is if you see a Sasquatch like this, they're usually in a position like this, and they stand tall. They're big, dominant, gigantopithecus beings out in the wilderness. They're not gonna play peekaboo. They know you're there, and they damn well know you can see them, because they've come out of a forest in which they can hide, so you can see them. And when you do see them in these positions, at best what you'll get is nice, tall, slow movement away like this, and then the pivot and move out. So they know their terrain. They're going to hide behind a tree that's going to be significant enough for them to sidestep like this. And even with the Sasquatch being broad, really, really broad. If you can see when I'm sideways, it doesn't stick out so much. In sniper training, what they teach us is you look for color, you look for movement, and you look for things that have an odd space. So a ghillie suit takes that human head and shoulders and body away and makes you look more like a rounded rock. So when a Sasquatch stands beside a tree like this and he puts just his chest out, you're less likely to be able to see it and notice it. And they'll move off like that. So I can move off like this into the wilderness and come out, and you can see how I'm literally now coming into a point where I'm disappearing. That is sniper training, and that's Sasquatch 101 with what they do. Now, in this next segment that we're going to see, I'll tell you, so in that last little YouTube video I have with that beautiful lady, Shalana, that I took out and we had these incredible interactions just from 4 weeks ago, one of the first things you'll notice in that video in part one of it is she's moving poorly through the vegetation, through the wilderness. And it's really causing her trouble. So in this other Sasquatch video, besides the fact there's one standing there, and remember again, if you're out in the wilderness as a human being, remember there's two perspectives. There's yours and theirs. They know that you're there. They know that you can see them. They can hide. They don't have to be there. So this whole sneaking around like you can't see, it's absolutely preposterous. So the Sasquatch that you see that's moving like this, first of all, Sasquatch don't move with their hands like that at all. Never seen it. It looks dainty and silly. And even the bounce, they don't move like that. They move fluidly, like you see in the Patterson footage, like you see in my video 3. Brilliant fluidity. They move in alignment. They move up tall, right? I've never seen them crouching. Actually, I have, but just in general, it's rare for them to crouch down. If they crouch down, there's a fluidity to it that's absolutely magnificent because they move so well. Just like bears and wolves. Wolves, when I see them floating across the terrain, it literally looks like they're floating. They're so magnificently built for the terrain. And I see that with Sasquatch. Again, you're talking about a biped, the most man-like being in the world, period. They're bipedal upright hominids like us, but they move very fluidly. So to see the Sasquatch moving like this, the other thing too is when a Sasquatch moves through vegetation, he'll move with real nice fluidity. So as I come past this, I'll move fluidly. And generally, not even if I have a hand in front, it's only one to move the little bit of brush. Sasquatch taught me to move like this. And the other one stays back as a counterbalance, like a cat, like a mountain lion with his tail. So the fluidity at which they move, and you don't want to bump this tree. You'd be okay to brush it, but see how I'm moving fluid through the branches? This is what I see with Sasquatch. I don't see them ever. I mean, that is an absolutely preposterous movement. So beyond the fact that the proportions are off, the body size is off, it's just completely, and then it's way too blurry. So I give a thumbs down to this Sasquatch video, but I enjoy going through the semantics of it. I enjoy seeing, you know, even the bounciness. I mean, that's just so, I got 5 different points that I've given you today to substantiate that that is not Sasquatch behavior. It doesn't look like a Sasquatch, so it's very likely just a hoax. But remember, those things that I've just talked about today can help substantiate a legitimate Sasquatch video, which I do see about 1 in 10 times on YouTube that I've talked about. So now, the next thing I want to go through with you guys, since we're talking about movement, remember I said I'd go through the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. So you can see in my movie Discovering Bigfoot, before it was stolen from me by a very bad person, I had that incredible military night vision, and you can see it. The apple grab scene in my movie shows how excellent that night vision is. So what happened to me is I was out on a native reserve, Morley. I'd been taken out there by native people who had all these incredible Sasquatch encounters, and a Sasquatch came approaching me. Now I talk about them. People ask me about moving on all fours, and you know how they've scared me. So this is literally what happened. So I'm sitting in a chair. My fire is right about here. And I'm sitting down in a chair and I'm looking through my night vision, and I don't know, I had a funny feeling like I was being watched. So I pull out my night vision, and the infrared light off of the fire gave me a good line of vision for about 30 yards. 30 yards away, a Sasquatch was moving in on me in a way that terrified me. He looked like Kubota in that kind of a devilish look. And this is what happened. So he was hiding and moving through trees in a distance, and he was moving low. and flew it on all fours. And just watching me as he moved like this. Very, very fluidly, moving through brush. Again, when I talk about how a wolf moves so fluidly through the landscape, a deer, an elk, so brilliantly, that's what I was seeing with this Sasquatch. So as he was approaching me on all fours, like this, I don't think he knew that I could see him with that night vision. So what I did was, as he was approaching me, and I was terrified, I literally remember thinking, Scotty, beam me up, I don't want to be here. Because I could see how large he was, I could see how enormous he was, and I'd never seen them move like so predatorily, and he looked angry at me. So as he approached me, I literally pulled up with my night vision, I started to shake, and I went, hey, I see you! And what did he do immediately? So he went from the crouching position through brush. This is Sasquatch behavior. He went, you see me? And he stood up and he's like, I'm this big. And now, and again, with that fluid movement, stood and looked at me and started approaching me. So as he was coming towards me, looking right at me now, with this angry, hostile look on his face, and I felt like his intentions were very hostile. So I'm sitting there with my night vision, and I'm going, please don't come over here, go away, and he's not taking it at all. He's actually starting to look big. His hands are in a position I don't often see Sasquatch. He looks really angry. So as I'm watching him, the wind changes, and the fire that's in front of me, the smoke goes in front of me and bumps into my night, where it hits my night vision. I literally go, because I thought he was right on top of me at that point. I thought he started to bolt. And I fell out of my chair onto the ground, knocked my glasses off, and now I'm blowing around the ground thinking a Sasquatch is gonna come and do harm to me. By the time I put my glasses back on, probably a good 30 seconds later, and picked up the night vision, moved away from the fire, he was gone. And I remember putting that fire out, going home immediately, absolutely freaking terrified. Even I felt like he was following me out and watching me. So definitely the scariest thing that's ever happened to me for Sasquatch. I've never seen them move like that. That Kubota look, this was before I'd filmed Kubota, and that look where Kubota looks very angry and hostile off in the distance at me, I'd never seen a Sasquatch do that. And all the parameters of that situation, I literally went home and thought for like a month if I was gonna be brave enough to be able to handle situations like that. And now everything's changed. I would love for something, if something like that happened, I would really embrace it and get into it, because that happened probably, a decade ago. And after what I've been through in all this time, things have really changed. I love doing Sasquatch research. If I have a Sasquatch doing stuff like that, I'm gonna go move right towards him. I'm gonna submit to him. I'm educated enough with primatologists to know what to do when gorillas come around and being aggressive. Not to show your teeth, not to be, weak and fearful, and not to be overly aggressively feeling. You got to find that neutrality. I talked to my expeditioners about that. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the videos. Thank you very much for tuning in. There'll be much more to come live on Wednesdays. I love doing these shows. I love doing this Sasquatch research. So thank you very much for tuning in. Take care. Bye for now.